Hey there guys, this is Master Turtle, and today I wanted to do a special on one of my favorite customs projects that I did back around 2020. And at this time, I really wanted to make all the Spider-Man from the 1994 animated series into figures. Obviously, this is the original Spider-Man, and this is from Marvel Select or Diamond Select, and they are now dead, unfortunately. So if you're looking to make these kind of figures, I'm sure you could use a different base. There's so many Spider-Man figures, and some of these they've already released it, like in Marvel Legends. But when I was collecting these Marvel figures, I wanted to collect Marvel Select because of all the really cool accessories that was given. There was paint detail, but I will say that this is a glorified statue. It's not really well articulated. Like obviously the legs and the arms can move, and the torso there's no torso. You can just kind of move them left and right, and that's about it. But this Spider-Man also had the advantage of being quite inexpensive, about $25 a pop, and it came with this really big car base. And for those that know the Spider-Man, you know that it has a lot of limitations. Of course, there are better Spider-Man figures now that they released subsequent to the demise of Diamond Select, but I didn't want to buy 5 of them, okay? That's so expensive. And as you can see from the back, I'm just going to go through each one and sort of what I had to do in order to make this look. And if I were to go back, I would probably go and fix a lot of the paint and the finish. But for now, I think they're okay because sometimes you don't need to look that closely. As long as you see the idea of your display, that's all that matters, right? So without going back and spending hours and hours on it, let's talk about each one. So first off, I have this like Doc-Ock Spidey, which was the first one that I attempted mainly because I was worried about how good it would look. Now, looking back, what I did was I painted in the eyes. This is supposed to be a pair of sunglasses to look like the Doc-Ock in that show, and I did have a bunch of Marvel Legends Spider-Mans that I had bought. I bought one that had specifically these tentacles, and what I did was I sculpted a piece of clay and I attached it to the back of the Spider-Man, and then what I did was I attached this backpack. This backpack is permanently attached now, but the actual tentacles are still free. They can pop out, and they always pop out. Then the other thing that I did was I basically sculpted some more clay to create this visor in the back, and I painted it silver. And I took an old set of headphones and I cut the cable so that I'd be able to attach it so that it is looking like he's controlling it with his mind. And I'll say that this one looks kind of bad, okay? It does look kind of bad. I could probably have used plastic for this visor. I just didn't have the skills in order to do it at that time, but it was okay. And then obviously for this backpack thing, I did a belt for it. I basically just everything was done using paint and kind of tricks that I learned, using like trying to hide some of the seams, but this one was my first one, so it was kind of bad. And then one last thing about this one is that the balance of this is so bad. Like this Spider-Man has okay standing, like its legs are fairly stable, but because of this backpack and the additional clay, it always had trouble being stable. But as you can see, I stabilized it by adding some clay into the leg joints so that it's okay. Then I went to the next one, which was so much harder, which is the 6-arm Spider-Man. And what I did was really janky. Obviously, the figure looks practically the same as this one, although I did darken the blue paint so that it would, 1, differentiate, 2, in order to do the arms, I did not want to buy 2 more of these figures, break them, and try to insert. I would have to drill holes in it. So instead I used like a really backdoor method, which was I sculpted everything out of clay and also aluminum foil, and I used some basically those packaging twisty ties in order to create a frame for the arms, and I sculpted it together to create 4 more arms. And what I did was, okay, this looks really ugly in the back, so I used a lot of clay, and I tried to make sure that the arms would attach to the clay, and then the clay in the back would be molded so that it's attached. And I used a lot of glue too. So unfortunately, this one was super jank. It was really hard to paint. You can see each of the arms are not well done, and because this figure has actually taken a couple falls and I moved with it. Some of the paint has come off so you can kind of see what's on the inside, although this kind of shows you what I did. Now, if I wanted to clean this thing up, I'd probably just redo the arms completely, but this is a time capsule one. And from a distance, it does look okay, but occasionally some of the clay does fall off. You can see like a piece fell off already. Me bringing it here, this is not where it's normally displayed, but this is one of the shelves that I have. Then I started getting good. And when you start getting good at something, it makes you feel a lot better about the whole process. So obviously, I thought that the 6-armed spider was actually a success, although it looks a little jank. But this one was so much easier. The Iron Spider, which is supposed to be the kind of Iron Man, Tony Stark version of Spider-Man, all I did was basically change the colors. And obviously some of this is just messiness. But anyways, changing it to black and silver was actually super fun. And the only thing that I really had to worry about, especially with the Spider-Man, is that it has a lot of like weirdness in the way that they shape the head. So I really wanted this to look like the mask. There was like, the Iron Man's helmet. So I also painted the bottom part of the chin black. And then what I did was I just basically put black coating for all the blue, and then for any of the red, I changed it to silver. But then redoing the lines was the hardest thing. I'm pretty sure that I redid the eyes like 6 times before they finally looked okay to me. And also, they have so much paint that it's actually popping out in terms of the white. And then I had to redo the actual lines maybe 3 times so that I wanted it to look clean, okay? In the arms, they're not as clean, but in the front, I wanted to make sure that it was thicker than the original web design. Like if you look at these ones, the web design is very, very small, but these ones are nice and square looking so that from a distance, like he's wearing armor. He's not wearing his normal suit, okay? So with that one, I had a lot of confidence built up to make the hardest 2 customs that I thought would be the most important. Like they're the favorite in this saga, right? Like, so I don't want to make them look bad. So the next one is the Scarlet Spider, and the hardest part was his costume is completely freaking different from all the other ones. Not only does he have like a sweater, like a sweater hoodie, he also has a completely different paint scheme, and he had like all these details that don't look the same. For example, the web shooters on his arms, the belt, and his face was the hardest to deal with too, because the eyes don't look the same. The design, I really kept it, I tried to keep it as accurate as possible, but my skills with making the changes to his face was I had to use a bit of clay to reshape it. And that's why his head looks a little bit different from everybody else. I basically tried to layer a little bit of clay to remove the seam lines on his head, and then I painted those eyes differently from all the other ones. And then I sculpted the sweater out of clay. Now, as you can see, I tried to use a cell shaded sort of style. So I used a lot of this black paint to create texture and to create like shadows. And I was actually really happy with the spider. The spider, I basically took a piece of paper and tried to draw it a couple times, and then I put it on. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. All I did was just make sure I didn't paint anything else onto it. This was really, really nice, and it wasn't that hard to do. But the spider is my favorite. Like, look at it. It looks freaking awesome, especially the way that it's done sideways. And then I basically layered paint onto all these other parts, repainted him basically to mostly red. And then his sweater hoodie, the hardest part that kept freaking falling off was the hoodie part. Now, obviously it's not perfect, but I wanted to give you the feeling of like when you look at it from different angles, you can see that there is something here that he could put over top of his head. And for those ever really into the Spider-Verse movies, like the second one, like seeing Scarlet Spider being so emo and emotional, wow, that's so funny to me. But anyways, I really like this one, and from afar, this looks the best. And then finally, the crown jewel of this project was Spider Carnage, the main villain of that arc. And as you can see, I had to change he was mostly blue. Like the black, I haven't changed. Like the back, I tend to not really care about because I don't display it from the back. But essentially this was Spider-Man taken over by Spider Carnage, and he's the clone, right? So then obviously a lot of the details, like the spider is no longer the spider. I had to paint it all red. And then this design was actually really easy. Like it's basically a large kind of middle part with just legs kind of streaming over the rest of his upper body. Very easy. This was super easy to paint. Like the Scarlet Spider one looks really good and it was hard, but this one was so easy to do. And then similar to the other ones, like I painted in the gauntlet. I basically kept a lot of the original with, and the blue I also changed to a slightly brighter blue so he would pop. And then what I really found nice was the Spider Carnage head. Basically what I did was I put a layer of black to cover all the original paint, and then I started with white paint. I did like a very sharp looking one, and then I started adding like little crevices in here of white so that it would show that it's really rough looking. And then I was so happy with the way that I did the mouth. Like look at that. That is truly Spider Carnage in 3D, like yikes. Now I know that there's a lot of Marvel Legends that you could probably go and hunt for these figures, but doing a custom for yourself is actually super satisfying, because when I look back at it, like this work that I did 6 years ago, I'm still really proud that I did it. And this was the first project that I did successfully. I didn't show it on this channel because this wasn't the most craziest customs. This was mostly Ninja Turtles that I was doing customs of, but I was so happy with it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you ever want to do a Spider-Man customs, I'd love to see it. And finally, I have done Into the Spider-Verse as well, which I'll show in another video, because I had to, creating Spider-Man Noir was the hardest part. Anyways, that'll be a video for another day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Cheers.